This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by GoToMeeting, online meetings made easy. And you can get a free 30-day trial if you go to gotomeeting.com/Turks. I want to talk about strike back. Boeing is currently facing huge financial, implications because of the fact that they outsource jobs. Okay, so we always hear about how outsourcing jobs is something that has benefited companies because of the fact that they're able to find cheap labor. So when it comes to Boeing, what they did is they outsourced jobs to Italy, China, Sweden, South Korea. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted to build a brand new plane, the 787 Dreamliner. And so far, the plane has been 3 years late, and Boeing faces billions of dollars in debt because of the fact that they've outsourced jobs. So I'm going to explain why that happened. What they did is, for some reason they thought, okay, let's outsource all these jobs, have all of these different people from different countries construct all the different parts and pieces of the plane, and then later on we'll have them all imported to Seattle, and we'll have people assemble it, and it'll all work out fine. Except it didn't work out fine. All of the pieces were mismatched, they didn't fit, and they're basically paying billions of dollars for something that has not been finished yet. It's an incredible story. The LA Times wrote about it. Look, you feel bad for the company, but you know what? Outsourcing jobs has downfalls. Sorry.
Now, what's interesting is that one of the executives at Boeing, who used to work at McDonnell Douglas, said, look, I've lived through this. There's two downsides to this. One, it's not easy to explain that technology to them. In fact, apparently the executives in this case did not give clear instructions to their subcontractors as to how to put this stuff together. They made an active decision to give them less instructions rather than more instructions. This one executive said, bad idea, genius, don't do that, right?
Right.
And there's a reason that we use people here who have the expertise. I mean, they could develop the expertise in other places, but he said that leads to problem number two, which is that once your subcontractor is making these parts, then they have the advantage. They can get all the profits, whether it's in the U.S. or whether it's in Italy or South Korea or wherever else that it might be, right? And in the end, you wind up with the least profitable part of the business, which is putting everything together.
Right.
And if it turns out your subcontractor fails, well, you can't just not build a plane. You're going to have to pick up their costs and their overruns and all their problems anyway. And sometimes you wind up having to buy the company at a loss. So it's the worst of all worlds. And the people at Boeing, of course, didn't listen to him, the very top of Boeing, and now they're facing billions in losses, and it's still not built.
Right. No, and it's incredible because, first of all, I get the sense that their entire strategy in building the 787 Dreamliner was extremely complicated and needlessly complicated. So they're outsourcing jobs, different countries, right? And for some weird reason, they thought, well, let's decrease our level of management. Let's allow them to build their own blueprints for these parts. How does that make any sense? You need more management if you're going to have, different countries building these different parts. It's incredible. So you would think Boeing learned their lesson, right? Except they didn't. Okay, this is an incredible quote. One of the Boeing spokespeople basically says, yeah, this was an unfortunate situation, except Boeing is a global community. So basically, she didn't learn any lesson from it. They're going to continue outsourcing jobs, and we're a global community. Too bad. Sorry. All right,
look,
fine. Then lose the billions of dollars. That's fine with me.
Right. And look, this doesn't mean that outsourcing is always a bad idea. Of course not. I mean, otherwise there wouldn't so many different companies wouldn't do it endlessly, right? But it depends, and you have to be smart. Outsourcing isn't always the answer. I have a cousin in Miami who runs a sign business, right? Like literally making signs, billboards, etc., right? And he goes, look, if it's something that's complicated and requires a lot of expertise, we manufacture it in America because that's more profitable. It makes more sense. We make more money that way, right? Otherwise, they can't do it right in other countries. We tried, right? He's a businessman. He's trying to get, make more money for his business, put food on the table, right? He said, for the signs that are cheap and simple, we outsource those, right? But so never outsourcing isn't the right answer. Mm-hmm. Always outsourcing, which seems to be now the new mantra for American and multinational corporations is also not the answer. And you want to hear something that's a little foreboding and I'm worried about? One of the executives at Boeing that made that decision now runs Ford.
And these days, everybody's in different offices in different cities. The one way you can all get together is GoToMeeting.com. You're all online at the same time.
Right, and it's super easy. All you need is a computer, internet connection, 2 minutes, boom, you're set up.
You can share documents. A guy puts up a document in Miami, the other one sees it in San Francisco. You can, in fact, amend it. You can do sales presentations, very convenient.
And the best part of all this is that you get a free 30-day trial by going to GoToMeeting.com/Turks.
Go.